Looking at this map of the Bengal Delta, you can see a vast, highly fractured river network. For 400 years, the Buddhist Pala Empire controlled this terrain, but by the late 11th century, their grip was slipping, leaving a dangerous power vacuum in one of the subcontinent's wealthiest regions. The family that stepped into that void didn't come from the lush delta at all. They migrated from the rocky, arid Deccan plateau in South India, specifically the Karnata region. We know exactly how they arrived because they carved their origin story into this stone slab, the Deopara Prashasti. The text gives them a specific title, Brahma-Kshatriya. These men were orthodox Brahmin priests who traded their rituals for a martial, mercenary vocation. The Senas rose from within the Pala military machine, serving as generals and local governors, until the central authority in Goa finally buckled. When a massive rebellion broke out in the northern Varenda region, the Palas were critically weakened. A Sena leader named Hemanta used the chaos to carve out his own independent stronghold in western Bengal. His successor, Vijayasena, spent 60 years pushing those borders outward. His armies drove out the last Pala king and crushed the neighboring Varman dynasty. By the end of his reign, Vijayasena achieved a geographic milestone. He brought the entire region of Bengal under a single, sovereign political boundary for the first time. Military might unified the land, but holding it required a radical shift. The Senas were Orthodox Hindus attempting to govern a population that had been shaped by 4 centuries of Buddhist rule. To secure his rule, Ballala Sena systematically dismantled the existing Buddhist-influenced social order, replacing it with a strict, militant Brahmanical Hindu orthodoxy. He introduced a strict system called Kulinism. This rigid caste hierarchy graded families based on the absolute purity of their lineage. To ensure these changes endured, Ballala Sena formalized these rules in encyclopedic texts like the Dana Sagara, dictating the new laws of charity and religious duty. To ensure his own bloodline remained tethered to these orthodox roots, he married a princess from the western Chalukya Empire, keeping a direct social lifeline to the Hindu kingdoms of South India. Kulinism was an effective political instrument. By organizing the population into this hierarchy, the Senas hardwired their authority into the daily lives and family lineages of the Bengali people. By the time Lakshmana Sena took the throne, the dynasty's heavy lifting was done. The Senas transitioned from martial conquerors to sophisticated patrons of the arts. Looking at these illustrated palm leaf manuscripts gives you a sense of the era's focus. His royal court became an engine for Sanskrit learning, attracting the sharpest scholars and writers to what was effectively the most distinguished literary salon in Indian history. The most famous of these creatives was the poet Jayadeva. Working directly with Lakshmana Sena's court, he composed the Gita Govinda, a lyrical poem celebrating the divine, romantic love between Krishna and Radha. This text became incredibly powerful. It shaped the growing Vaishnava Bhakti movement, proving that the high-level Sanskrit literature produced in the Sena court was successfully filtering down to influence the devotion of the common people. Lakshmana Sena fused religion, governance, and art into an identity that replaced Buddhist intellectual centers with a new, resilient Brahmanical elite. At the turn of the 13th century, that peace shattered. Turco-Afghan invaders led by Bakhtiyar Khilji swept into the region with devastating speed. The invaders targeted the physical institutions of the old religions. They destroyed the massive universities and monasteries of neighboring Bihar, which permanently crippled institutional Buddhism on the subcontinent. While many narratives claim the Sena Dynasty simply collapsed, Lakshmana Sena actually led an organized retreat to the east. He traded his unified physical empire for geographic survival, ensuring his cultural project would outlast the loss of his capital. The Senas retreated to Bikrampur. Protected by this impenetrable river fortress, the dynasty held their ground for decades. This survival highlights a stark divergence in how these religions functioned. While Buddhist practice relied on central universities and monasteries that were easily targeted, the Senas' Hindu culture was social, anchored to family lineages, and the Kulin caste network that remained intact during the retreat. Because that Brahmanical culture remained robust in Bikrampur, it eventually served as a genuine partner in the exchange of ideas, helping to build the synthesized culture of the ensuing Bengal Sultanate. Even the physical architectural traditions fostered under the Senas continued to shape the region's built environment long after they lost supreme power. The Sena dynasty arrived as foreign mercenaries and left as the architects of a social framework that outlived their own political empire, shaping the cultural synthesis of the centuries that followed.